Clint Barton is shown in the beginning teaching his daughter how to shoot an arrow while his wife prepares a picnic meal for them on their remote property. The effect of Thanos snapping his fingers after obtaining all 6 Infinity Stones is Clint's daughter disappearing, along with the rest of Clint's family and half of all life in the universe. After being defeated by Thanos on Titan, Nebula and Tony Stark are left stranded in space. Carol Danvers brings them back to Earth, where they are reunited with Natasha Romanoff, Bruce Banner, Steve Rogers, Rocket, Thor, and James Rhodes. The gang devises a plot to kidnap the Infinity Stones from Thanos and use them to undo his deeds, but upon locating him, they discover that he had already utilized them. Scott Lang emerges from the quantum realm 5 years later to learn that his daughter Cassie is now a teenager and that Hope Van Dyne, along with half of the population, has vanished in the snap. While Romanoff is continuously maintaining watch over both Earth and the rest of the cosmos with the assistance of Rhodes, Danvers, Okoye, Rocket, and Nebula, Rogers has been leading grief counseling sessions for survivors still dealing with the aftereffects of the snap. Lang goes to Romanoff and Rogers and explains that although it had been 5 years for them, it had only been 5 hours for him, and that time stretched very differently there. The three go to Stark, who is now co-parenting a child with Pepper Potts, and express their hypothesis that the Infinity Stones can be stolen from Thanos before he can collect them by using the quantum realm to travel back in time. After considering the loss of Peter Parker, Stark initially rejects their suggestion out of concern for his family and the tranquility he has attained. However, after reflecting on the loss of Peter Parker, Stark decides to test theoretical models that would be compatible with Lang's quantum tunnel and eventually finds one that works. The remaining Avengers set out to put their squad back together with Stark now on board. Now that Bruce Banner has accepted the Hulk as a part of himself, they have fused into a single consciousness. Romanoff sets out to identify the assassin after receiving information from Rhodes that he uses tactics similar to those of Barton. After losing his family, Barton became so overcome with grief that he began to ruthlessly massacre criminal cartels and gangs all across the world under the alias Ronin, in an effort to better the world that was still left. He is discovered by Natasha in Japan, and after some persuasion, he decides to rejoin the team in an effort to try to bring his family back. Banner and Rocket travel to the hamlet of New Asgard, which is home to Valkyrie and the final Asgardian survivors. Thor is discovered by them there, overcome with guilt for failing to slay Thanos in Wakanda. Thor plays Fortnite with his friends Korg and Meek, eats fast food, drinks alcohol, and has grown his hair and beard out. He has also gained weight recently. After being persuaded by Rocket and Banner, Thor reluctantly decides to rejoin the Avengers. The Avengers are reunited with a plan when Barton tests the quantum time machine and confirms that it is functional. Banner, Rogers, Lang, and Stark set out to retrieve the time, mind, and space stones during the Battle of New York in 2012. When Banner visits the Sanctum Sanctorum, the Ancient One informs him that removing the time stone from her timeline will prevent Stephen Strange's future attempts to stop Caecilius from violating the natural laws. But when Banner informs her that Strange willingly surrendered the time stone to Thanos, she permits Banner to keep it, suggesting that Strange had meant for a particular series of events to take place in order for Thanos to be vanquished. In addition, in order to avoid any negative repercussions, Banner further pledges that the stones will be returned to their correct timelines. After the Avengers take the Space Stone away from Loki, Lang and Stark make an attempt to steal it. When Thanos destroys the Avengers' headquarters, the squad is split up, and the gauntlet ends up under Barton's guard. While Rogers, Thor, and Stark confront Thanos, who determines he will use the Infinity Stones to destroy the universe and construct one in his vision, the future Nebula kills the past Nebula as she tries to steal the Infinity Stones from Barton. The three engage in a one-on-one battle with Thanos, with Rogers supporting Thor's hypothesis that he is capable of using Mjolnir, but they are all defeated by Thanos. T'Challa makes an appearance before Rogers shortly after Thanos' army arrives on Earth, along with all of the Avengers and other allies Banner has restored, before leading an attack against Thanos and his army. After a protracted conflict in which Quill and previous Gamora are reunited and Stark and Parker are reunited, Thanos engages in a struggle with the Avengers for the Infinity Stones. Thanos commands Glaive to have his ship launch numerous energy blasts while he is tied by Wanda Maximoff's energies, nearly destroying the Avengers' efforts. Returning, Captain Marvel destroys Thanos' spacecraft while battling for possession of the gauntlet. Stark successfully transfers the Infinity Stones from Thanos' hand to his own using the nanotechnology from the new gauntlet, proclaiming proudly, "I am Iron Man," and then uses them to turn Thanos and his whole army into ash. Stark is comforted by Parker and Potts as he passes away from radioactive exposure from the stones. The Avengers hold Stark's burial after the conflict, floating his Mark I arc reactor out on the nearby lake. The fact that Romanoff and Vision, who were absent during the snap, would be happy with their defeat of Thanos, gives Barton and Wanda Maximoff some comfort. Thor, who is for the first time ever free of the burden of royalty and leadership, crowns Valkyrie the Queen of Asgard and joins the Guardians of the Galaxy in order to discover his real calling. Parker rejoins his best friend Ned at school while Barton goes back home to be with his family. While Carter chooses to spend the rest of her life in the past with Rogers, Rogers is entrusted with traveling into the past to return the stones and Thor's hammer to their original timelines. As an elderly man, he emerges in front of Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes and hands Wilson his shield and the cape of Captain America. In a brief flashback, Rogers and Carter can be seen in their living room sharing the dance they always wanted to do. They appear to be finally happy.